I, Sakshi, Vice President of the Debating Society of Mata Sundari College, welcome you all to today's session. Debating has always been an integral part of decision-making process in any society. It has led to revolutions and reforms. The question is, what are the attributes of an efficient and healthy debate? How do we present and discuss conflicting opinions in such a way that we explore an issue as well as try to come up with a satisfactory solution to it? In today's session, we explore the art of debating thoroughly. We'd like to greet Dr. Garima Kumar, convener of the session, for organizing the session for our scholars. We would request Garima ma'am to please share her views on the same.
Thank you, Sakshi. It's indeed really my privilege to be here with the group of students, and I'm really happy that we have our Madam Principal, Professor Harpreet Kaur, also with us today. We're really fortunate to have her at the helm, a person who's ever so facilitative for the conduct of all such student-centric activities. And such events, I think, which provide all of you students a platform to hone up your abilities and your skills and to nurture your talents. Debating society, for sure, your oratory skills, your leadership skills and analytical skills. And ma'am, for one, she is so enthusiastic about encouraging student involvement and participation, and makes it a point to devote her personal attention towards augmenting such activities in the college. Despite, ma'am, we know that you have an extremely busy schedule, and despite that, you are here for all such events. It's really a privilege. Thank you so much. So without further ado, I now request Madam Principal, Professor Harpreet Kaur, for the opening remarks for the session. Ma'am.
Good evening, all. I welcome you all for this event, Art of Debating. Very interesting. And before I say anything, I must welcome Ms. Sumita Tiwari, the guest speaker. Welcome, ma'am. And her CV is very impressive. She has done many things in various arena, and students, I'm sure, will learn quite a lot. And of course, Dr. Garima Kumar, Dr. Kuldeep Sehgal, Manisha, and all other students, and Kamna and all others. I might be leaving out certain names, Radha maybe, or Manpreet, but there are so many students who have joined. So I welcome you all, and on this very interactive session. And I think Garima has really initiated this event, and along with the team. It's very good because we want to give you basics of this art of debating, because art of debating basically is what your communication skill is, how you can communicate. The stance of other person might be something different, but how well you can communicate to that person and understand. And this kind of dialogue was initiated even at the time of Greeks, when Plato used to stand by the roadside and talk to people and tell and try to convince his own argument, and even so for that matter, and Aristotle and all came up with various concepts of modernity. All those concepts like liberty, justice, and all those, and democracy, and all those were discussed by the people, and those kind of conceptualization came from the people. So debating is all about not only talking, but convincing other people that your viewpoint is correct. Maybe your viewpoint, because we have varied viewpoints, but and all people will not definitely agree with you, but how to convince other people, and that is, I think, the main art. For that, I think you need quite a lot of knowledge also, because unless you are grounded strongly in concepts, you will never be able to understand or rather convince other people. It's impossible. So whatever you are doing as far as your academics are concerned, please to understand the concept, have very good command over the theory, and then practice will emerge. Then you can communicate to other people. So be grounded in what you are doing, and that is why we at the college give you platform where these kind of events are taking place so often. And in more recently, when the colleges are opening tomorrow, and it would be really nice to see you all. But on 19th, we have planned one event in the afternoon, early afternoon, and Debating Society is conceptualizing that, where we are talking about women empowerment and the role of police, because the police people have approached us. They are celebrating this Delhi Police Week. 16th February was their foundation day, and in that ages they are having a series of events. They have requested our students to come up with a topic where they are talking about, of course, empowerment, but also how how the police is going to help you in that. And I'm sure Dr. Garima Kumar and all others are going to conceptualize the topic very soon and let you know. But you are open to participate in this event, and Delhi Police will give you certificates for the same, and also whatever refreshment they want to give. So I would really welcome you all, and you must participate in large numbers in that, so that we can show that how our students are so active, and how they understand, and how they are aware of their rights, and they can assert their rights, and they can enlighten other people on their rights. So we can think on those lines, and so we'll have a very short event, even physically, maintaining all COVID protocols. So you give your names to Dr. Garima, and as soon as possible. And so I welcome you once again to this event, and have a wonderful evening and very enlightening one. And of course, remember the tips given by you, by our expert speaker while speaking, because there are certain very small, minor, changes which will make you more effective. Because everyone has a natural flow, natural style, of course, but how to improve upon that style. And if you will remember those tips mentioned by our expert speakers, I'm sure you will be much more effective, and your whatever you speak is going to be more convincing and all encompassing. So once again, welcome you all, and thank you so much, all of you.
Thank you so much,
Thank you so
ma'am, for your advice and your insightful words. Kuldeep sir?
No, please continue.
Okay.
Thank you.
So now moving forward, we extend our very warm welcome to Ms. Sumita Tiwari, the speaker for today's session. Ms. Sumita is the consultant, product and content at Ratnasagar, where she's working on the blended school learning product. She is also the enlistment committee member for the National Film Development Corporation. Ms. Sumita has also served as senior manager, marketing for school division at Macmillan Publishers India Limited. Her exceptional academic record further accentuates her expertise. We are deeply honored to have you with us today, ma'am. We'd now like to hand the session over to you.
Thank you so much. It's been an honor to be here with all of you, and it was enlightening to hear Dr. Kaur talk about debating. And yes, certainly, I also wanted to start this session with a context from India itself. Vad Vivad, right? India, ancient, the history is, it has evidences of how Vad Vivad, which is also another word for debating, has been our source of knowledge and source of decision-making all the way through in India. Especially in ancient India, you had great philosophers and scholars who would decide on certain things, decide on ethical issues, decide on political issues, decide on philosophical issues, all through debating. So nobody was wrong, but people had to be proven right, okay? And they had to convince the others before a decision was made on any important issue on those times. And the debating follows. There's never been an end to debating in our society, in the global world. And with more and more challenges coming up, we have debating as the main source of information and decision-making. Look at your television sets, look at the news channels, they're all thriving because of debating. Am I right? And yes, so what would make a debater good at his job or or the art or the skill? How do they train themselves? Well, the mantra lies in good communication skills. So what is communication? Can somebody just tell me what is communication for you? How would you define it? You can write it in the chat or just unmute and tell me.
Ma'am, can we say that it is expressing what we feel to the other person?
Absolutely. So when we say the other person, okay. What else?
A medium to exchange ideas and thoughts.
Great. So you're saying exchanging ideas and thoughts. Absolutely right. So, so what would effective communication mean? If communication is exchanging ideas, exchanging messages, then what is effective communication?
Ma'am, to be able to portray and deliver the right comprehension of what we said.
Okay, that's a very good point. To be able to convey what we want to. What else?
When the receiver has comprehended our whatever we were trying to say.
Exactly. So it's just not about you saying something or trying to convey a message, but it's also the other person understanding what you're trying to say. Absolutely. Understandability. Yes, that's the key word. All right. So let me just pull up my presentation. You can stop me in between if you want to discuss anything, but I'll take you through all this through a PPT. Okay. I hope the presentation is visible to all. Great. All right. So we said communication is exchanging ideas and messages. Then we say effective communication is being able to understand what the other person is saying. So first thing first, communication is always a two-way process. Am I right? So there's a message and it has to be received by somebody else and the receiver will respond. This is a very technical way of putting it. However, there are certain aspects to effective communication. Okay. First is being responsive. Okay. So I'm talking to all of you today. You may mute me, you may switch off your cameras, but if you're listening to me carefully, I'm getting enough response. Okay. So response is when you're listening, you're attentive, and then only will you be able to receive that message in the right way, the intended way of the messenger. The second is meaningful. Every communication has a goal. If I'm here today and presenting this PPT, I have a goal. What do you think is that goal?
Ma'am, to help us better communicate.
Absolutely. So there is always a need for meaningful communication. If you just banter, if you just say something without any meaning, it won't have its effect. Next is responsible. So I can give you, if I'm talking about debating, I can start from, let's say, the truck strike in Canada about Trudeau. I can start with a movie, summary of a movie, latest movie film, a film from Hollywood or Bollywood. I can do all of that. But would it be responsible? No. So your context has to be right. You have to be responsible in what you're saying, how you're saying, the language, the body gesture, the intent, everything has to be right and responsible. Okay. And finally, it has to be impactful. If somebody goes off to sleep while I'm making a presentation, then I have not been impactful. And then that is not effective communication. So make sure that nobody sleeps today. Okay. Be responsive so that I can be impactful. Okay. All right. Now, when I said effective communication, there are two people. Okay. One is saying, one is conveying, the other person is receiving. Now, this can be oral, or both together. When I say oral, it means verbally. Oral is when you're listening to something, right? But debate is a very different art of communication. It is only a one-way communication. Okay. Now, here comes the role of what your debating society name is: debattle. Debate is a battle. It is not two-way communication. It is one-way, persuasive communication, and you are always right. Remember that. Okay? So you have to be on defense. And you have to be very strong. And whenever you're making a debate, whenever you are interacting with two people in a debate, it has to be, the stance has to be, I am the correct one. Okay? And you have to convince everybody around you that whatever you say, good, bad, ugly, that's the ultimate truth. Okay? So debate is very different from any other means of communication. What are the other means of communication? One is debate. When I'm saying I'm battling with somebody, it's almost a debattle. So then what are other ways of communication? Okay, Gauri's raised her hand. Gauri, please unmute.
Ma'am, I have a question. You said that debating is one-way communication. But ma'am, until and unless we have a second party who could counter our speech or our points, how can that be a debate?
Exactly. But for you, when you're communicating, your intent is to convince the other, not to get a response. So when you have a two-way communication in a standard local way, as we understand, communication is a two-way process where one person gives a message, the other person receives that message and responds. Am I right? But debate, when I say a one-way communication, what I mean to say is, from a speaker's point of view, you're not expecting any response. You are expecting to convince. So you are the torchbearer of the entire discussion or the entire communication process in that point of view. Okay? It doesn't mean that communication is not a two-way process. It certainly is. But debate is the art of being effective when only you are talking and the others are listening. Are you convinced, Gauri?
I'm pondering over it, ma'am. I'll ask
fine.
if I have questions.
All right. Okay. Now, so the other ways of communication could be dialogue, could be discussion, could be telephonic, could be written. So debate versus dialogue and discussions. Okay. What do you think would be the difference?
Ma'am, as you said, debate is one-way and dialogue is a two-way communication. And also the fact that debate is something proving oneself right, but dialogue could be understanding others' opinion as well.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Fantastic. Okay. So let's look at the purpose of debate. What could be the purpose of debate then?
Ma'am, to counter the part that we are presenting.
Okay. So remember, right from the ancient times to today, what is the purpose of a debate? Anybody else would like to answer?
Ma'am, it may be to prove a point.
Yeah.
It may be to prove a point.
Absolutely. Yes. Okay. So it all comes down to two things. Either you are exploring some ideology or you're solving a problem. Okay. Now, debate versus dialogue or discussions. The purpose is mostly about either discussing something which is ethically viable or solving a problem. Okay. Who are the audiences? let's say debate, who would be the audience?
The people who don't have an opinion but would make one on your behalf.
Right. Or maybe they just mentally make notes. They are not responding to you, but they are public. So in that sense, they are public or an open group. And your dialogue and discussions are through closed groups. Okay. So you can immediately observe them, check their responses, see whether they are liking or not liking it. But in public forum, you would not know whether they like your debates or they don't like your debates. They like your point of views or they don't like your point of views. But overall, you're making an impression anyways. So in that sense, a Gauri, again, it's a one-way communication. You don't get immediate responses. Yes.
Ma'am, in this context, how would we differentiate a speech with a debate?
Yeah, speech is again, speech is just a setting a point of view across to people. But debate is when you're trying to persuade about a certain point of view and you want everybody to agree with you. You will talk, you will answer questions, but end of the day, you will prove your point to be true. Speech is generic. It's not to influence people. Speech is largely about your point of view. You're expressing yourself. It's freely made. Debate has its restrictions. Debate has its interpretations, and debates would have its confined space where it is done. And also, speech versus debate, speech is one person effort. Debate is a two-party effort. One party is talking against, the other party is talking for the topic. And both the parties are trying to convince the public in general about what they feel or what do they say is right. Have I made my, is it?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Okay. Now coming to the standpoint. In a debate, your standpoint is always oppositional. You are opposing the other party. Okay. But when it comes to your discussions or dialogues, you're trying to collaborate. You're trying to come together to a conclusion on anything. So let's discuss about the party which is happening next week. Okay, you collaborate. Okay, let's have a dialogue and try to sort out our differences. Okay, it's a collaboration. You're trying to sort it out. Debate. No, I think I'm the one who's right and I'm the only one who's correct. That's the stance. That is the your standpoint when you're making a debate. So largely, one is topic-centric, the other is speaker-centric. So what do you think would be topic-centric? Debate or a discussion or dialogue? Yes? Any responses?
Ma'am, I guess topic-centric would be the dialogue and speaker-centric would be the debate.
Think about the standpoint. Oppositional and collaborative. Okay, so debate is topic-centric. I'm talking about the topic. I tell you how things are. I want you to listen. I'm right and you are wrong, and I will stand firm on my belief. So I'm basically correct and you are wrong. Okay. Now, when you're making a dialogue, it's speaker-centric. I will consider your responses. I will listen to your opinions, and we will together come to a collective conclusion. Okay. And I'm open to learning new things. We will share each other's point of views. Okay. So tell me, when we are making a debate, would we have a defensive body language or we'll have a kind of collaborative body language? What kind of body language do you think should we have?
Ma'am, during a debate, defensive, I guess.
You have to come across as a very confident person. You have to come across as somebody who's convinced about what he or she is speaking. So definitely it will be more of defensive, right? Okay.
Ma'am,
So
can we
if,
say,
yeah, please continue. Tell me.
when we
Yes.
say somebody through our body language will be someone who shows that we are respectful of others' opinion. However, we stand firm with our arguments and we believe in what we say.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. So you're not, your body language will not be threatening, but your body language will be very confident and you are convinced about yourself. So the first thing is you have to be convinced about what you're talking. Okay. And then only can you make a difference. And then only can you change opinions of others. Now, look at these two ads. They are ads of burgers. Okay. Now, tell me, if I hand you two flyers like these, which one would you choose?
The red one.
First one.
Absolutely. I would also go for the red one. But why? Amna, why?
Because it looks appealing.
It looks attractive?
Yes.
Okay. Why? Why does it look attractive?
Excuse me,
It is
ma'am.
more presentable.
Yes. Somebody wants me to. Yes.
Ma'am, could you please come back to the previous slide once?
Okay. Just a second. Yeah.
Ma'am, I beg to differ with you in opinion. I am not sure if I should be doing that, but I don't think that topic centric is the debate. I would still say when we talk of topic centric, it's basically the fact that we are trying to come to a conclusion over a topic that is of importance. So I think it's the dialogue. And when we say speaker centric, we can also look at in a way that debates are basically from the point of views of the speakers. So, so I don't agree to you on that point.
That's perfectly fine. Anybody else wants to differ from Gauri? We've started a debate now.
It depends on the situation and it depends on what the topic is. You know, if something, for example, junk food deteriorates health. If this is a topic, then there will be a debate because there will be different point of views to this.
Okay.
All right. So there, the debate will be topic centric. However, there are situations where it can be speaker centric as well. So I feel this is something which depends on the situation. However, I would agree to what you said more.
Okay. Okay. Any other point of view?
Again, ma'am. Ma'am, can I present the point?
Okay. Yes, please.
Ma'am, I would say that though topic is there for every debate and every dialogue, speaker is there for every debate and every dialogue. I beg to differ with you as well as the other speaker. I don't know the name, but we can have topics for both the contexts, and we can have speakers for both the contexts, and that does not make much of a difference in my opinion. But when we talk of centricity of anything, that has to be who influences the context.
Fantastic. So I have debaters in my group, and that's why I wanted this to happen. Great. So yes, either both debate or dialogue, they're both topic centric and speaker centric. Now, this is exactly what you have to do in a debate. You have to prove your point of view to be correct. So Gauri wanted it to be speaker centric. Somebody else wanted it to be topic centric. Somebody else said it's everything together. But yes, the larger audience has to decide who wins the race. And that's what the purpose of a jury is in a debate. Okay, fantastic. Okay, so this slide was a success. Okay, now coming to this. So yes, everybody would like to take the brighter one and the Burger Day red flyer and go and order your burgers from here. Why? Why not this guy who's giving you cheaper version of your burger, plus he's reducing taxes, plus he's doing so much more, he'll deliver at home, etc., etc. He could offer more with a simple flyer. But why did this appeal to you more? Yes, Parneet.
Is it because the red flyer is more focused? The fact that it's about the burger, and in the blue flyer, there's a lot of noise happening as well. Like you'll see a name, then you'll see family burger, and the burgers are quite small in the whole like proportion of this thing. So
Okay, that is in the making of the flyer. Okay, very good observation. Anything else? Generally,
presentation.
absolutely right. The presentation. What appeals to people is how you sell your things. And the mantra of debate is how you sell your tell. Okay? How you sell your tell. Now, it's the same as going to cafe coffee day for a coffee and going to a old classic coffee house for a coffee. Generally, youngsters move towards cafe coffee day. Why? Because there, the entire thing, the presentation, the packaging is very appealing. So your debate will be successful only if you know how to present yourself well, how you sell what you're trying to, the content of your debate has to be sellable. Okay, this is just a jargon which I've picked from marketing, but this works well because ultimately it's all about what you show to the audience is what it leads to, whether it's accepted, not accepted. So now let's come to core of the debating skill. What really is debating? Well, first of all, debating is a very formal way of discussing a particular matter, but on a public forum. Okay. And here the speakers, there are two opposing parties and they are presenting their arguments in front of the audience. Now, it could be groups or it could be individuals, depending on how that setup has been done. But the candidate will speak for or against the given topic. Then, of course, after the people have presented their opinions, there'll be interjections and people will ask questions. You should be able to answer those questions also very well. And usually there is a sufficient time of preparation given for gathering information. Okay. Now, this is I think everybody is on the same plane. Everybody knows what debating is. Now, there are some criticalities and nitty-gritties of debating, which everybody should know, whosoever wants to participate in a debate. The first thing is the debating jargons. Okay. So there are some things which we should know about. Moderator, convener. Who is a moderator or convener? Usually in debates, you have a convener or a moderator. Would anybody know? You can also write it in the chat box if you want to. Yeah.
And somebody who is closely observing and is the jury of the debate.
So somebody who moderates your debating, yes, he is the one who is kind of holding the presentation. He's the ferryman. He's the mediator. And the moderator is the one who actually takes the debate through the starting to the ending. Okay, yes. He facilitates the event. Thank you, Devanshi. All right. The next bit is affirmative. Affirmative is the motion where you are for the statement or the topic. Motion is your statement. Motion is the statement itself. Okay. Rebuttal is the negative, the opposition of the affirmative statement. Interjection is when you start questioning. And jury is the panel of judges who sit and judge your presentation. Is that fine? Everybody understood? So these are mainly the common jargon words which are used in debating. Let's move to types of debates. So the first is a moderated debate. This is a pre-planned debate where you have a moderator and he or she would ask questions from the two speakers or two group of people and moderate the debates. This is how your debates are happening in your TV channels these days. Times Now, CNN, NDTV, etc. Okay. What would be a town hall debate? Any idea? Anybody wants to say something? Okay, Parneet?
Is it the debate where they discuss if a certain action should be taken? For example, if there's supposed to be a new construction in a certain area, they would meet with the mayor or some other administrator, and there they would debate the pros and cons of taking that action.
Okay, you're partially right. Town hall debates are larger debates. They are conducted in a bigger group. So kind of when you have these elections, you will see two politicians sitting on the forum, and there are people, the public around, and the moderator will keep asking questions from the public also. There are two people debating, but there is one group which is for the party and the other one is against the party or something like that. So when you have these town hall debates, there's a big, huge audience, and there are huge contributors to the debate. So a large crowd which is together arguing or debating about a topic, that's called a town hall debate. Now, Lincoln Douglas debates are the most common of debates, and this comes from, the US Senate hall debating style, where Mr. Lincoln and Stephen Douglas used to participate in debates, and it was a very, one used to present their case and then the other used to rebut, and this is how it went. So this is a very standard way of debating. Cross-examination is when you have a lot of questions coming in. You speak something and the people will ask you questions, okay? And a lot of interjections happening. So this is kind of a cross-examination debate. However, largely in a college scenario or after post-college, when you go for your competitive exams and you have to appear for debates, it's largely a moderated debate, okay? Where you speak and then probably the convener or the moderator will help to organize an interaction. Everybody gets time to speak, equal time to speak about their topic, given topic, and then conclusions are drawn by the moderator. This is how usually it happens. Competitions also are fairly the similar kind. Okay. Yes. Like the parliamentary debates. Okay. Yes. Yes. All right. Now let's come to the format of debating. Now there are only 4 steps to debating. First is your salutation. This is when you begin your debate. You address the members of the jury, you address the general public, and you address your opponent. Okay, you make a salutation. Then you introduce the topic. Now, this is a very critical point. Either you lose the interest of the audience or you gain their interest. So your first statement about the topic sets the motion, okay, and sets the sentiment for the audience. So this is very critical and you have to plan your way through. Then comes divide the argument into stances. This is also a very important part. Introduction of the topic usually means that you tell the forum whether you're for the topic or against the topic and why is it so. Now, once you've done that, you present your arguments, and the arguments for accepting or rejecting a topic or for being for the topic or against the topic depends on the kind of arguments you present. There should be minimum 3 to 4 arguments with solid examples, facts, and figures. So the first step to a successful debating is research. You should know your topic well, and you should know how you feel about that topic. Okay. And lastly, you sum up your argument. You get very short time to sum it up, but you sum it up in 2-3 lines. But again, you reiterate what your stand was and what was your most important argument about that topic. Okay. Now remember, for any debating competition or any debating activity, the timings could vary. But even if the timings vary, you have to be very planned in terms of managing your time. Okay. The standard rules of any debating activity that happens is there are two sets of speakers. And it first begins with an affirmative before it goes to the rebuttal. So for somebody, the for speaker will speak first, and then against the topic speaker will come. Remember, there'll be no position of revision. Okay, you cannot change your stand suddenly. And you have to assert your findings, your arguments with facts and figures. So research well. And each speaker is questioned after their speech by participants and audiences, depending on what is allowed. Sometimes they don't allow general public. Sometimes they just give the authority to the judges. And these are called interjections. Now, the key elements are gathering your information. You identify the problem and gather information and present the information properly. So practice well. Now, when you're practicing, it's not just about the content. The practicing also means your body language, the kind of grammar structures you use, the kind of phrases you use to sound intelligent, to sound more knowledgeable about the topic, the kind of words that you use, and also the kind of tone that you use. You have to be audible to all. You have to be loud and clear. You cannot be disrespectful. You cannot be angry. You cannot be sarcastic. So all that matters. And the basic courtesies, like while you were arguing about topic-centric and speaker-centric, what did you say? Ma'am, though I don't agree with you, I would like to put forward my point. So these kind of basic courtesies, you argue, you do not fight, you appreciate your opponent. Remember to appreciate your opponent. And even you can pick one or 2 points which the opponent has said, which you like. And you have to thank everybody at the end. So these are basic rules and basic things that we need to follow for debating. Now, one aspect is talking about your topic, okay, in a given time limit. The other aspect is note-taking. Remember, debate doesn't end with just presenting your speech. It's after that what happens that makes you a successful debater or you lose the battle. Note-taking is important when the other person is speaking. So you have to be alert, attentive, and a very good listener. What happens? There are 3 kinds of errors that people make when they are talking. First is your moral flaws. You cannot be morally wrong. You cannot talk about a wrong value. Okay? So for example, if there is a topic that it's okay to lie if it's saving your life, then you cannot be morally wrong. So there are certain things you have to be. So the other person can make mistakes, and they often make mistakes. So look for those signs and look for those gaps. Moral flaws, logical flaws. If I'm lazy, my sister is also lazy. Or I'm lazy, my whole khandan is lazy. Can't be. Those kind of things. Yes. Okay. Manvisi Dana. Yeah. Unmute yourself.
All right, Sumita ma'am.
Yes.
My name is Manvi, first of all.
Manvi, okay.
My query to you is, like, sometimes we get a topic we do not agree with. Like, if we personally have to answer for that, we don't really agree for it, but we have to present our views against it. So how do we, like, deliberately do that is my question.
No. If you don't agree to a topic and you still have to present it, you have to be for the topic, then you have to gather information and first convince yourself. And you have to convince yourself. If you're debating, there's no 2 ways about it. You have to think with blinkers and say, this is my topic, I like it. No personal judgments. Now I like it, I have to speak for the topic. So therefore I'll gather information to make it as convincing as possible. That is the trick of the trade. Manvi.
Thank you.
Yes, Parneet. Parneet, you wanted to say something?
No, I'm sorry. My hand is raised accidentally. Yeah.
All right. And lastly are the factual errors. Oh, people make a lot of mistakes factually, and this is where you can target them. If you read your newspapers, you have read about the topic well, here is where you'll score a brownie point. Remember that. I've done it and it works it works very well. Factual errors, numbers, data, information, dates. People get the dates wrong. When they're talking with so much of, emotions, they just get something wrong. So make a note of those points, okay? So the right strategy, you have very limited time. So what you have to do, you have to talk about very important issues only pertaining to the topic. Not everything you have to discuss. It's not a thesis. It's not an essay. It's your speaking versus the other person speaking, and you're trying to convince a panel of people. So you have to use your time effectively and efficiently. Content. Content is the king. Know your content. To win, you have to know your topic. Read about it, think about it, hear about it, know the topic well. Also, argue. Debate is just not about presenting, but arguing well. What the other person is saying, listen to him or her carefully and rebut. And rebut with punchy lines. For example, hey, the comparison is chalk and cheese. You're trying to compare apples with oranges. Or what yardstick, may I ask you, have you used to gauge this fact? So you have to use good punchy lines to sort of rebut and then question promptly. And don't forget to use good inspirational quotes. That is going to make your content a very heavy one, a rich one. Okay. Now the don'ts, of course, everybody knows, but when you are in the surge of emotions, you can say something and you can start fighting, you can argue, and you can waste your time. So be very, very cautious of don't make personal attacks. Even if the other person who's standing there, you don't like him or her, you still have to debate. So be as professional as possible, be as academic as possible, and no personal attacks. Don't generalize things. Oh, people like you, or everyone does that. Or any statement that you make should always be verifiable. Don't use just random statements. Give facts. Do not be disrespectful to any individual or community. Do not threat and do not interrupt. Neither should the other party. So when you're speaking, you have your 5-7 minutes. You speak well. Speak with conviction. Use a very confident body language and use your hands to thrust something, point it out. But do not interrupt when the other person is doing the same. What are the kind of things that the judges look for? Well, they look for confidence in body language. Whether you listened carefully, whether you asked the right questions, whether your arguments were logical, whether your arguments were supported by examples and data. This is one thing which is always there. Your jury is going to look for it. So don't miss that aspect. Every argument, there has to be a example. And your creativity, of course. Creativity comes with your language, use of phrases, use of quotations, use of personality examples, anything and everything which can beautify your content. So when you're preparing, the first step is to explore. Identify the topic. What do you know about the topic? Think about it. Then, as Parneet asked, somebody asked, how do you feel about the topic? You may feel very bad about the topic. But if you've been forced to speak for the topic, you'll have to put on blinkers. And then after that, once you have convinced yourself, then you find more information about the topic. Now, steps of presenting your content. First, most important thing is you prepare your arguments well. So, for example, let's take one topic. Topic is online education hampering children's personal growth or social interaction? Maybe that is the topic, okay? And if you are speaking for the topic, what would be your first argument? What would be your first reason for being for the topic? Come on, somebody think about it and quickly tell me. You can raise your hands or type it in the chat.
There is no exposure.
Okay, there's no exposure. Fine. Now, this is your first argument. If that is your first argument, can you elaborate? There is no exposure. Can you give an example? Can you support with facts or any figures or any news item which you read recently?
When we go to the school, we meet people, we know how people react to certain things, but when we're online, we don't have any communication, or that's a very point which can stop building the personal profile of a child.
Very good. Oh, very good. But can you give an example? So here, now this example will require some research. Look for WHO websites. Look for something which people have said. Look for the politicians who are saying, or look for some example from a personality's daily life. What has gone wrong? What has gone wrong with the children? Some example. Yes, Gauri?
Ma'am, fatigue and eyes training.
Sorry?
Ma'am, fatigue is the
Yes. So you can say WHO has come out with statistics which states that children are getting fatigued because of online, so much of screen time. And this would support your argument for the first one. This is very rudimentary, but this supports your argument. So your first argument is set. Now you can look for second argument and so forth. So ideally, for any kind of debating, you should have minimum of 4 arguments with supporting facts. And you should always check that it's authentic. Okay? Check your sources. Now you have your mobile phones. You can quickly also tab. If you just have very limited time to prepare for your debate, even then you have your mobile phones to check the authenticity of the facts that you present. Okay? This is the first step to having a good debate. Second part is rebuttal. Now, you have to think about what the other person said. And you should have supporting arguments for that with examples. To say, hey, you were wrong. Look at this. This statistic says that children are not fatigued. They've become very happy because they are at home, having good food on the table, on the bed actually. They don't even have to move to the dining table now. They'll cry when they have to go to school. So these kind of arguments you'll have to build, but you'll have to build with some supporting statements. Okay? So you should be ready for rebuttal as well. So first step is your debate, your speech. Second is preparation for rebuttal, which is equally important. So let's quickly look at this and just do a fine tuning of what we had done as a preparation guide. Topic is media plays an important role in setting the sentiment of the nation. Okay, these are election times and these are corona times and these are so many things happening around the world. And media, we are exposed to those things through media. Okay, so is media playing a very important role in setting the mood of the nation, of the people, the thought process of the people? Yes or no? So your first step is do it individually, everybody. Decide your stance. Are you for the topic or against the topic? I hope everybody is carrying their notebooks with a pen. Just write your stance, for or against. Okay. Okay, Sakshi says don't rely on Wikipedia for sources. I support that. Okay. Step 2. Now present your case in a few lines. This is your introductory statement. Include your topic. Write about whether you are for the topic or against the topic. And generally outline what do you understand by the topic. So 3 things. The topic, whether you are for or against the topic, and what does this topic mean to you? 3 sentences. Can you do that? Try doing it. And please raise your hands if you're doing it. Great. Fantastic. Okay. Fantastic. Okay. So just 3 sentences. Now, remember, when you're writing about a debate, always remember only write points. 3 sentences are just 3 points. You don't have to write complete sentences because you will only get to carry a small sheet of paper if you are allowed to. Other than that, beyond that, you'll not have a speech paper with you. So only points. That's the art of note taking. 1, 2, 3 points. Done? Step 3. Now your step 3 is building your argument. Choose 3 reasons why you say that media plays an important role, or why you say media doesn't play an important role. Only 3 arguments. First, second, third. Okay? Now, when you put 3, support your arguments with an example. For now, you can just do 1 argument, 1 example. Okay. And lastly, plan your salutation and your sum up. Just write salutation on the top and summary at the end, just summing up, so that you don't forget to thank people at the end, and salutation is to address the audience properly. Okay. So this is a quick way of just writing something for your debate. Has anybody done it? Would anybody like to just read it out or say something about it? Gauri?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you like to?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. So salutation. Let's begin with salutation.
So good afternoon all. Today I, Gauri, am here to present my debate on the topic media plays an important role in setting the sentiments of the nation. That was the salutation part, ma'am.
Okay,
Then
great.
deciding-
Yeah, members of
deciding-
the jury, respected members of the jury and my dear friend. Now you talk about, generally we say it like that, but this was good enough, Gauri. Now let's go to step 2 when you're introducing your topic. So the topic for the day is media plays an important role in setting the sentiment of the nation. And are you for or against the topic?
For the motion.
I'm for the motion. Now explain, what do you understand by this?
Media today plays a significant role in formation of mindsets. I completely agree to the stance because that's the most widely used medium today.
Fantastic. Great. So this is your introduction. Now let's build the argument. Somebody else wants to say anything? Or Gauri would continue?
Ma'am, I have an argument also.
Great. Okay. Share the argument.
So the amount of social media indulgence and influence in each topic today is one of the priormost things that comes to mind when we talk of media and its influences.
Okay. So this is your argument. Now, when I say argument always means you have to support your argument with an example. So what is your example for this?
Ma'am, my examples would be the hike in the number of social media accounts and also the rising TRPs of news channels.
Fantastic. This is very generic, but as a first point, it's fantastic. Great effort, Gauri. Okay.
Thank you.
Great. Now, somebody has surely keenly taken interest in what Gauri is saying. Would anybody try to rebut her point with any facts or figures that you don't agree with what Gauri is saying? Come on, try. It's just an argument. Okay. Who's this? Fantastic, Bhumi. She says, media gives exaggerated news, mostly negative, impacting thought processes of people and creating anxiety and mental health issues. For example, there is increment in mental health issues in people. Okay. And of course, you can give the source of your information. Fantastic. Very good. Anybody else would like to rebut? Gauri?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So, ma'am, to the point that is raised, I would say, though mental health issues are pertaining these days due to social media and other media influences, but when we talk of the sentiments of nation, that's one of the most prominent platforms that we have today, and it also expresses all the fors and the against.
Okay. Great.
What people think.
Great. Okay. So yes, this is how you start building your argument, and step by step, if you practice this well, you'll be able to build a very, very good debate content. And if you practice it in front of the mirror, which is the key of doing debating properly, with looking at your body language, looking at your expressions, and the way you are generally appearing, it works wonders. We had very limited time, so I could just cull out this bit, but I'm sure you can try this much. You can take one of these topics at home and try building a debate, and practice with your friends and see how it goes in your society time whenever you have your debattle sessions. Okay. So that's from me for now. I hope it was a useful session. I found the class very interactive. So
Thank you so
yeah,
much,
over
ma'am.
to you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for an indeed informative and amazing session. So towards the end, I would request Kuldeep sir to sum up everything we have discussed today, and to thank our speaker, Ms. Sumita, for the amazing session. Kuldeep sir?
Yes, good evening to all of you. Am I audible? आवाज आ रही है मेरी?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Good
Yes,
evening.
sir, you're audible.
Okay. Respected principal ma'am, she has now, I think, because this program is being served to YouTube also. So first of all, मैं bilingual होना चाहूँगा, क्योंकि हमारे साथ ऐसे भी बहुत सारे बच्चे हैं जो हिंदी और दूसरे लैंग्वेजेस के साथ भी आर्ट ऑफ डिबेट को सीखना चाहेंगे। और सबसे बड़ी चीज, हमारे साथ ऐसे सब बच्चे जुड़े हैं जिन लोगों ने विषय को समझने के साथ साथ आर्ट ऑफ डिबेट को इस तरीके से समझा होगा जिसमें लॉजिक्स को इम्प्रूव कैसे करना है। सबसे पहले तो मैं सुमिता तिवारी मैम का धन्यवाद करना चाहूंगा कि बहुत बड़े अंतराल में बहुत लंबा समय हो गया है डिबेटिंग को होते हुए, लेकिन आर्ट ऑफ डिबेट पर किसी ने ऐसा लेक्चर नहीं दिया जो लेक्चर नहीं था बल्कि एक वर्कशॉप थी। और इसके लिए मैं उनका और सब बच्चों का हार्दिक धन्यवाद करना चाहूंगा कि कार्यशाला जब होती है, वर्कशॉप जब होता है, तो सिर्फ स्पीकर या टीचर को बोलने का मौका नहीं मिलता, बल्कि सभी बच्चों को अपनी बात कहने और पूरा अभ्यास करने का, प्रैक्टिस करने का मौका मिलता है। दिस वाज अ प्रैक्टिस सेशन। तो ये एक आइडियल वे है जब आप किसी को कुछ सिखाते हैं। अगर आमतौर पे हम लोग क्या एक्सपेक्ट करते हैं कि कोई स्पीकर आएगा, हमको एक लेक्चर देगा और हमें कुछ टिप्स देकर चला जाएगा, जैसा कि पीछे कुछ पास स्पीकर्स आए। लेकिन फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल मैंने देखा कि सुमिता तिवारी ने एक कार्यशाला की तरह बच्चों को अपने लेक्चर के साथ बांध कर रखा और एक एक विषय को लेकर बहुत गहराई से, विस्तार से चीजों को सामने रखा। कुछ चीजें मुझे जो बतानी है, और मैम ने जिसकी शुरुआत की कि भारतीय जो पक्ष है वाद विवाद का, उसको हम कैसे समझें। मैं इसको अपने तरीके से समझाऊंगा, लेकिन इसको मैम ने जो शुरू किया था कि हमारे भारत में बहुत प्राचीन काल से, बहुत समय से, प्राचीन समय से वाद विवाद की परंपरा रही, तो मैं थोड़ा इसको संस्कृत से जोड़ के देखूं, जिसे हम कह रहे हैं डिबेट, दैट वाज द्विवार्ता। द्विबात, बात से हम वार्ता को हिंदी में बात कहते हैं, और जब संस्कृत से शब्द ग्रीक में गए हैं तो द्वि को डी, और जिस तरीके से बेट, वार्ता को इस तरीके से बैटल या बेट के साथ जोड़ा गया, ऐसी वार्ता जिसमें संघर्ष है, जिसमें युद्ध है। लेकिन मैम ने जो शुरू किया कि जो डिबेट है वो कभी भी दो के बीच में नहीं होता। नहीं, वो ये कहना चाह रहे हैं कि गौरी ने प्रश्न उठाया था, कि ऑब्जेक्शन भी लिया था कि अगर दो नहीं हो फिर कैसे होगा। तो वो ये कह रहे हैं कि दो के बीच में होता है, लेकिन दो की सहमति नहीं होती, डिसएग्रीमेंट होता है इसमें, दोनों की सहमति से डिबेट नहीं हो सकता। और फिर गौरी ने जिस तरीके से अपोज किया, अपनी बात रखी कि डायलॉग्स एंड डिबेट दोनों स्पीकर सेंट्रिक और टॉपिक सेंट्रिक हो सकते हैं। और ये अच्छी बात थी कि जब हम इन्वॉल्व होते हैं किसी लेक्चर में और अपनी बात को रखते हैं और अपने पॉइंट को मनवा भी लेते हैं, अपनी बात को साबित भी कर देते हैं, तो जाहिर सी बात है उससे बच्चों का उत्साह तो बढ़ता ही है, एक पार्टिसिपेशन भी आता है और कुछ सीखने को भी मिलता है। ये तो बात हो गई कि हम किस तरीके से विषय को समझ रहे थे। आर्ट ऑफ डिबेट के बहुत सारे पॉइंट्स हमने बताए हैं, जिसमें सैल्यूटेशन है, और आर्ट जार्गन क्या है, और जिसमें लॉजिक डेवलपमेंट क्या है, उन सब पे बात हुई। लेकिन एक चीज जो कहीं मिस हो रही थी वो ये कि जब आप किसी चीज को प्रेजेंट करते हैं, जब भाषा से आप किसी चीज को कहते हैं, तो आपकी भाषा का सामने वाले पर बड़ा प्रभाव पड़ता है। और हिंदी हो, इंग्लिश हो, संस्कृत हो, किसी भी भाषा में डिबेट होते हैं, बातचीत होती है, उस समय आपकी भाषा कैसी है, कम्युनिकेशन स्किल कैसा है, तो इस पर भी ध्यान देना जरूरी है। 2 से 3 मिनट में जब आप कोई डिबेट कर रहे हैं तो आपकी भाषा में कॉन्फिडेंस तो हो, आपके पास लॉजिक्स बहुत अच्छे हैं, कॉन्फिडेंस भी है, लेकिन भाषा का लड़खड़ा रही है, ये वो, मैं ये कह रहा था कि मैं वो ये इस तरीके से अगर होगा, तो जाहिर सी बात है कि आप अपनी अच्छी आर्ग्यूमेंट के बाद भी, अच्छे के जो आपके पास लॉजिक्स होंगे, उसके बाद भी आप अपनी बात को मनवा नहीं पाएंगे। ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट बात है कि सिर्फ बात मनवाना काफी नहीं है, क्योंकि आप जब डिबेट कर रहे होते हैं तो आपको कंपटीशन भी विन करना है। कंपटीशन विन करने के लिए आपकी भाषा में आर्ट जार्गन होना जरूरी है। कम्युनिकेशन स्किल, जिसमें हिंदी हो, इंग्लिश हो, कोई भी भाषा हो, उसको इम्प्रूव करना जरूरी होता है। और फिर सारे बच्चों ने इस प्रोग्राम के लिए तैयारी की है, और एक इंफॉर्मेशन आप लोगों के लिए ये भी है कि जिन बच्चों ने इस प्रोग्राम को अटेंड किया है, सुना है, उन सब के लिए हमारे पास सर्टिफिकेट्स हैं। सर्टिफिकेट्स की हम लोग पूरी तैयारी करेंगे, और हो सकता है कि थोड़ा सा डिले हो जाए, लेकिन सर्टिफिकेट्स हम देंगे। इसके लिए आप लोग अपना फीडबैक फॉर्म साथ के साथ ही भरते रहिए। और गरिमा मैम, परिधि, साक्षी, इशिता, ये सारे बच्चे जो हमारे ऑफिस बेयर्स हैं, गरिमा मैम हमारी को कन्वीनर हैं, मैं को
और Kuldeep, this event couldn't have been possible without, of course, all the team members, but of Manisha, Kamna, everybody, they've really put in a lot of effort. Oh yeah.
हाँ, तो सभी ने अपना अपना एफर्ट किया है और इस प्रोग्राम को सक्सेसफुल बनाया है। और विशेष रूप में हमारी मुख्य अतिथि के रूप में सुमिता तिवारी मैम पब्लिशिंग हाउस में बहुत समय देना होता है, और उसको अपने व्यस्ततम समय में से भी समय निकालकर उन्होंने हमारे लिए समय, बच्चों के लिए टाइम दिया, एफर्ट लगाए और बच्चों का उत्साहवर्धन किया। इसके लिए मैं उनका हार्दिक आभार व्यक्त करता हूँ। और आगे भी हम लोग आर्ट ऑफ डिबेट के प्रोग्राम रखते रहेंगे। और सबसे अच्छी बात मुझे जो लगी, मैंने आपको पहले बताई, कि बच्चों को इन्वॉल्व करना, वर्कशॉप के तौर पर एक कार्यक्रम आयोजित किया गया। गौरी हो चाहे दूसरे बच्चों, सबने अच्छे से पार्टिसिपेट किया। और यही चाहिए, लेक्चर नहीं चाहिए। लेक्चर से कुछ नहीं, ज्यादा टिप्स मिल सकते हैं, सीखने को नहीं मिलता, अभ्यास नहीं होता, प्रैक्टिस नहीं होती। तो प्रैक्टिस चाहिए। और यूट्यूब पे भी जो लोग सुनेंगे वो भी इससे बड़े प्रसन्न हुए कि आर्ट ऑफ डिबेट ठीक है, सुनने में बहुत साधारण सी बात लगती है कि हाँ ठीक है, डिबेट के बारे में बात हो रही है। लेकिन जब आप किसी भी चीज को प्रैक्टिस के फॉर्म में देखते हो तो वो चीज आपको अंदर तक आप में प्रवेश करती है, आपको कुछ सिखाती है। तो यही होना चाहिए। और आगे भी हम लोग इस तरह के लेक्चर्स, इस तरह के वर्कशॉप्स ऑर्गेनाइज करते रहेंगे। और इसके लिए मैं अपनी माता सुंदरी कॉलेज की IQAC टीम और डिबेटिंग सोसाइटी की हेड कन्वीनर डॉक्टर गरिमा मैम और अपने सारे सभी सहयोगियों का कामना, जो कि हमारी टेक्निकल सपोर्टर टेक्निकल टीम में है, और उसके अलावा भी डिबेटिंग सोसाइटी के जितने भी मेंबर्स हैं, सबका हार्दिक आभार व्यक्त करता हूँ। और बच्चों से फिर अपील करता हूँ कि बहुत सारे कॉम्पिटिशन्स हैं हमारे सामने, उन सबको अटेंड करें, ज्वाइन करें। और कभी भी ये सोच के अटेंड ना करें कॉम्पिटिशन्स कि हमें सिर्फ अटेंड करना है। भावना तो हमारी यही होनी चाहिए कि हमें प्राइज मिले। लेकिन अगर प्राइज नहीं मिल पाया तो ये समझिए कि दैट वाज माय प्रैक्टिस सेशन, कि ये मेरा प्रैक्टिस सेशन था। और मैं आपको अपना एग्जांपल दूं कि डिबेटिंग में तो मैंने टीचिंग के ड्यूरेशन में कदम रखा है। सबसे पहले जब मैं कॉलेज में था तो मैंने कभी डिबेटिंग में पार्टिसिपेट इस तरीके से नहीं किया था। हाँ, संस्कृत डिबेट में पार्टिसिपेट करता था, संस्कृत स्पीच में दिया करता था, लेकिन मैंने कभी इंग्लिश डिबेट्स या हिंदी डिबेट्स में बहुत पार्टिसिपेट नहीं किया। लेकिन जब मैं अध्यापन में आया, टीचिंग कैरियर में आया, तो मैंने बच्चों से बहुत सीखा है। और कई सारी चीजें, नई से नई चीजें मैंने बच्चों से सीखी हैं। और जब आप डिबेट के साथ जुड़ते हैं, अपने घर से निकल के लोगों से मिलते हैं, बात करते हैं, ग्रुप डिस्कशन करते हैं, तो आपको लोगों से बहुत सीखने को मिलता है। और ये लर्निंग जो प्रोसेस है, इसको हमेशा बना के रखना है। ये एक बड़ी चीज है कि आप ग्रुप सॉल्यूशन तक ले जाएं, समाधान तक ले जाएं। विषय बहुत सारे हैं, हमारे सामने समस्याएं बहुत सारी हैं, उन समस्याओं को समाधान तक ले जाएंगे तो आपको उसके पक्ष और विपक्ष समझ में आएंगे। मतलब उसमें अगेंस्ट और प्रो का जो कॉन्सेप्ट है वो अपने आप समझ में आएगा जब आप विषय के समाधान की तरफ जाने की कोशिश करेंगे। सही गलत भी समझ में आएगा। लेकिन आप न्यूज सुनिए, और जो यूक्रेन और चाइना का जो आपस में जो विवाद है, जो संघर्ष है, उसको समझिए। इस तरह के जो करंट अफेयर्स हैं उनके बारे में पढ़िए। तो समस्याओं से जुड़ेंगे तो समस्याओं के पक्ष और विपक्ष दोनों ही आपको बिल्ड करने आएंगे। उसके बारे में जो आर्ट जार्गन है वो तो आपका है, जो तर्क है, लॉजिक्स है, आएंगे। बाकी रही बात कि हमारे प्राचीन भारत की ही एक बहुत बड़ी परंपरा है शास्त्रार्थ की। शास्त्र कहते हैं ग्रंथ को नहीं, बल्कि शास्त्र कहा जाता है एक डिसिप्लिन को, अनुशासन को हम कहते हैं, विद्या को हम शास्त्र कहते हैं। तो विद्या से संबंधित जो भी विषय है, जुड़ा हुआ है, उस पर आधारित डिबेट हमारे यहाँ उपनिषद काल से ही होते आए हैं। जैसे गार्गी और याज्ञवल्क्य का डिबेट हुआ था कि ब्रह्मांड में कितने देवता हैं, कौन सा जो यूनिवर्स, कितने यूनिवर्स हो सकते हैं, ब्रह्मांड कितने हो सकते हैं, और किस लोक से ऊपर कौन सा लोक है, तो इस पर याज्ञवल्क्य और गार्गी के बीच में डिबेट हुआ था। ऐसे हजारों डिबेट्स हमारे प्राचीन ग्रंथों में बिखरे पड़े हैं और एक बहुत बड़ी परंपरा शास्त्रार्थ की हमारे यहाँ है। और ये परंपरा भारत से ही, भारत के सभी प्रांतों में विकसित हुई, सभी भाषाओं में है, और इसको हमें आगे बढ़ाना है। ये परंपरा किसी वेस्टर्न ने हमें नहीं दी है, वेस्टर्न कल्चर नहीं है डिबेट करना। ये याद रखिए कि डिबेट एक मनुष्य समाज का, एक स्वस्थ बुद्धि वाले व्यक्ति का एक स्वभाव है, और भारतीय लोग हमेशा से ही बौद्धिक रहे हैं। और शोपेनहावर जो जर्मनी के, उन्होंने एक बात कही थी कि उपनिषद को जब मैं पढ़ता हूँ तो मुझे महसूस होता है कि भारतीयों से ज्यादा उत्तम बुद्धि किसी की नहीं हो सकती है। तो शोपेनहावर का जो स्टेटमेंट है वो अपने आप में बहुत महत्व रखता है, बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट है। और अच्छी बुद्धि होना, अच्छे तर्क देना और तर्क से किसी समाधान तक पहुंचना, ये भारतीयों का स्वभाव रहा है और हमें इस स्वभाव को बनाकर रखना है। तो बहुत ज्यादा समय न लेते हुए आप सबका बहुत बहुत आभार व्यक्त करते हुए, और विशेष रूप में सुमिता मैम का आभार व्यक्त करते हुए, मैं अपनी बात को विराम देता हूं।
Thank you so much, Kuldeep sir, for your further insight into the topic. And Garima ma'am?
Yeah. Yes, Sakshi.
Ma'am, shall we disperse?
Yeah. Thank you, Sumita. Is she there?
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sumita. It's been a pleasure having you.